Right, hopefully you'll be able to see the screen by now, hopefully hear the camera. I'll just quickly jump over the charts, give it maybe 30 seconds. So basically just going to go through everything that we look at going into the week. I've not done any prior preparation to this, so I'm just going to have a look and really show you exactly what we do every single Sunday to prepare on the markets. How to put all the levels, all the trend lines, all the pairs that we're looking at. Also going to go through some of the positions that we're in right now, break down exactly why we got in them and what we plan to do with them moving into next week. So if we just go over to TradingView right now, I'm going to show you exactly what we do from start to finish, and we'll start off by going over the dollar pairs. So there are a couple of interesting ones right now. Aussie US dollar we're in right now. I'm thinking about maybe closing this position, because if we start out on the weekly, should see most of the US dollar pairs are overextended right now. A lot of them have been going up for quite a while. If we zoom all the way out, you can see we've been in a downtrend for a long time, since 12th of November, and then we just broke out at, say, the 13th of July there, and ever since then we've been on a bullish run up. But you can see how steep that trend line is. It's going to have a correction eventually, and then if we zoom in even more, you'll see on the daily even, or even the 4 hour, how steep this new trend line has been formed. Although it has been respected quite well, as you can see we've gotten in, we've had a nice hammer candle, we should be pushing up. But if we do quickly jump over to the dollar index, and the reason why we look at the dollar index is because they're going to push most of the dollar pairs. So if the dollar's strong and we're in the Aussie US dollar, that's going to push the Aussie dollar down. And right now the dollar is strong, we are seeing some bills in the market. So if we go over to the dollar index now, I'll just have a wee look. As you can see, we've started a wee run up on the 4 hour, and we do plan on it possibly reaching this level here. So this is really just what I'm looking for. Let's see. So I'm expecting it to at least get up to here. Just as a pullback phase, if we zoom all the way back out, you can see we are still very much bearish, but the markets don't go up forever. So I would be looking at something like, see, it fits in perfectly with this here. So I would expect the price to be really moving up. So I'm just trying to get like a good idea, especially on the dollar pairs. Where's the dollar index going? Remember, if the dollar index is going up, it's going to push these dollar pairs down. But if the dollar's going up and we're in US dollar CAD or US dollar Swiss, that's going to push them up. It's only if the pair on the second currency in the pair, that's what's going to push it up or down. So if we're bullish on the dollar, US dollar CAD, US dollar Swiss, US dollar JPY, they're all going to go up. But the Aussie US dollar, they're going to go down because it's the second in the pair. So I'm looking at NZD USD, GBP USD, but I'm also thinking these pairs are going to possibly go a bit lower. Again, I'm not really looking to get too much into GBP USD because I'm already in Aussie US dollar, so I'm just going to sort of wait and see what happens. So if I go back to Aussie US dollar, I'm thinking that we possibly might come back to this trend line here, because that's been the most dominant trend line. This one's been a bit more recent, although we are getting good respect. The reason we might get out of this one for now, as you can see here, small double top, which is, as everybody knows, a reversal pattern, and then we've had a lower low. This technically would be a lower high, and then we would probably anticipate a break of this zone here, and then a break of this trend line, possibly down into this zone. And then we might look for long positions again, or we might just hold it. We're probably just going to wait till tonight, until the 10 o'clock open, and then just wait and see what's actually happening. The gaps in the market for when the market stops at 10 to when it opens again at 10 on Sunday are huge. So we're really just going to wait and see how that pans out. But Aussie US dollar long term, I'm bullish, but right now I think we're going to have a small pullback, maybe even just this trend line, so we might even get out of that. The other trade we're in right now is Euro NZD. That's looking really good. I'm going to break down all the way for the weekly what we were looking at. So if we zoom all the way out, you can see we really started this trend line all the way back on the 20th February 2017. It's just sort of moved sideways, pushed up past this level that we've got at 1.814449, and then it started to come back down. Now, once it's came back down at this point for a good few weeks, we've had quite a few stalls. We respected it well here, and then we've tried to push up once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, and then we had a nice shooting star candle here. So that really brought a lot of attention. This part here where it's respected the trend line, and then the fact that we've tried to push away from it should have attracted a lot of buyers, but now with this shooting star candle, especially on the weekly, this whole candle is just a full week's worth of data. So we know that if this is a full week's worth of data, then that a lot of people are looking at that also. So when we are looking at this, we're anticipating a break of this trend line, which has happened. Now if we go down to the 4 hour, this is where we can start getting a little bit more detail into how we actually planned on taking this trade. So this is the break of the weekly trend line here, and then we've really just marked out this zone here, because this zone for us is what's called a really high impact zone, because as you can see, it's been respected here very nicely. It's been respected here, so price, every time prices approach this zone, it's pushed away, and then if it's broken through, it's used it as resistance again, pushed down, tried to push back up, and then we've broken through, used it as support. So every time price goes to this zone, we can see that it's been respected very well. Then we've actually broken through this weekly trend line. So automatically, if this has been in a bearish trend for years and it's broken a weekly trend line, we know that we want to be paying attention to it. So we've marked out this zone here, and then what we've been looking for is a break of this. We've actually pushed back up into this trend line here, and then what's happened is we've pushed further down. And what we've really been waiting for, which we actually missed, is this push back up here, because the reason why that's so significant is because we've broken a weekly trend line, and then what's happened after that is we've hit this weekly trend line and a high impact zone. So once we've hit that, look how well it's moved away. It's pushed all the way down. This is where we would have got our entry, but we actually missed it. So then what we've done is we've looked to get an entry further down the line, because we know that this has got quite a lot of room to the downside. We're going to go back out to the weekly and show you that. So what we've really looked for is we would have possibly got in here as well. This is where we took our entry. We've seen this nice shooting star candle, as you can see here, the wicks all the way up. We've had the buyers try to take control, and then what's happened is they've been pushed all the way back down. So they've opened here, we've pushed all the way up, we've closed back down, which shows a weakness in buying power, and then we've actually got an entry in just on this candle here and put our stop loss just behind this wick and behind this resistance zone. So we are planning to hold this for quite a while now. As you can see, we have potentially a 19% risk to reward on this one. So again, we're slowing back down a little bit here. We're not really having like a convincing push down after this lower low, lower high. This lower low wasn't very convincing, but now we have made a lower high, and we are respecting this trend line and this support zone here. Even if we do go back up to this trend line and this resistance zone, we do anticipate a further push down, and then if we go back down to the weekly, you'll be able to see our target. Now we want to be taking it all the way down to this zone here at 1.55952. But one zone that we do want to be keeping an eye on here, and we're actually just going to tighten this up a little bit, is this zone here, because as you can see, this is the next zone that could cause us a little bit of problems, because we've been respected so many times, and because we're on the weekly, as you know, each candle that you're seeing here is a full week's worth of data. So we know if we are approaching this zone and it's been respected so many times, that we want to keep note of it, and we don't want it to be just a a straight line. If it's just a straight line like this, we could easily say, oh well, it's broken through this straight line, it must not be a well respected level. But this is why we don't ever draw straight lines, we draw zones, because we know every single time that it's approached this zone, we've had wicks up, but we've closed inside or on the other side of this. So again, look, nice shooting star candle, huge respect for this zone, another respect for this zone, another respect. That's like almost 2 months worth of data that's been respected. It was respected really well here, respected again just countless times. So we know that when price comes to this zone again, look how well it's taken off bullishly when it's approached that zone. This was back in 20th of January, just at the start of this year, and massive moves. So this is another zone that we potentially want to be making sure that we keep an eye on. So when our price does get down to this zone, how is it behaving, and then we'll go down to the lower time frames to make sure that we're not actually going to get taken out the market, or if it doesn't reverse on us. So that's really why we've got into this trade and where we're going to be taking our take profits down to. Like I say, it's a long-term trade. We're going to be holding it for quite a while, but again, we'll just be monitoring it. And if price starts to push in our direction, we're going to move our stop loss, so this price here, down to our entry, so there's no risk on the table, and we're just going to let that one run. So let's go have a look at Euro JPY, see what we're seeing here. Let's go again, starting on the weekly. We want to plot all our levels on the weekly. So again, this is a huge area that we want to be aware of, and you always just want to be looking to the left. Like, if I can give you one good piece of advice, plot your levels on the weekly and the daily, and what is it you're actually looking for? You want to be looking for areas that when price hits the market in certain areas that it's having big moves and it's having a lot of action, so it's been hit a lot of times. So see, it's been respected well here. It's pushed all the way down and closed perfectly above this level. The wicks are touching perfectly inside this level and then closing back up. So every time price hits this level, big things are happening. Price is moving a lot. Price is moving up again here. Price has been respected again here and here. And because this is on a weekly time frame, full week's worth of data. 1 week, 2 week, 3 week, 4 week. Like, these are huge, massive levels. And of course, we are just approaching this level right now. So what are we looking at? We have like an ascending channel here as well, which if we go down to the 4 hour, so we've got our level on the weekly. We know that this is a high impact area. We've tried to push higher, failed to push higher back in August, and now we're coming up again. But this is what we're looking at here. The fact that we've got a massive level right now that we're approaching, and we've got an ascending channel. Now, what really is an ascending channel? Ascending channel is just really slow, weak price action. As you can see here, not much is moving. We are moving higher, but we're moving higher very slowly, which tells us there's not really much buying power right now, and potentially we could get a pop to the downside. Now, the fact that this has happened just in line with this massive zone that we've got here, what would we be looking for? We would be looking for potentially a short position. That's not to say that this is guaranteed to go short, but because again so much data on the weekly, and we know that this price hits this zone here, that big things tend to happen. And of course, we have an ascending channel which is showing a weakening in buyers. So we are really just going to be carefully monitoring the 4 hour. We're going to be monitoring the 1 hour, just to make sure that we don't miss out on any short positions. As you can see here, basic bearish structure, lower low, lower high, lower low, potentially another lower high in line with this zone here. So again, look, this has been respected well, spike up, closed below. This has been respected as support. It's been respected again, and then we could potentially have a short position here. Now, if we were to ever take a short position, I mean, now would probably a good as time as ever, because we have protection. We've got this top trend line here that potentially shouldn't, and I say should because nothing's guaranteed, but it shouldn't really be going any higher. If the buyers are weakening, and we've approached this zone multiple times in the weekly, and we've also hit the top of this trend line in the ascending channel, right in line with this zone. We should potentially be going down the way, but again, the market is an imperfect place. Anything could really happen, so we could maybe even just have a look and see price action might spike up, close below, and then push down. So potentially we could be looking at a short position. We might take this one down quite a bit. Where would we be looking to take it? Well, potentially if we were to take it to anywhere, we'd really just want to be looking out for this zone here. Now, why would we be looking out for this zone here? Because we want to be making sure that we're clearing any areas that are going to give us trouble. So again, this is quite an area to be watching out for. So of course, if we were getting in now, we would be getting in quite aggressively. We'd be getting in very early, so we want to make sure our stop loss is well out of the way. And then if it did break this level here, that's been respected, and we got something like maybe even like a break and retest, we would probably be looking for a retest of this zone here, and then maybe another position would look something like this. We would get in here, we'd have our stop loss just behind these highs here, so it would be behind this zone here, and it would be back inside the pattern, so it would be back inside this ascending channel. So it gives us protection from this trend line of the channel, it gives us protection of this zone here, and we have now a new bearish structure, which is a lower low, lower high, and lower low, and we would be taking that possibly down anywhere. Now let's just go back to the weekly. So I would probably be taking that down to this trend line here, anywhere down about around this zone, probably all the way down here. So potentially we could be taking that all the way down here, which is massive moves. Now we're talking 887 pips, we're talking weeks and weeks worth of price action to be moving. So it would be a long-term play, but again, it's something to be looking at and making sure that we are getting in one of these trades, because when you get these types of moves, especially with massive high impact zones like this, and then you have other confluences like ascending channels that come into these zones, you know that big things tend to happen. The last time that I hit this zone back in April 2019, we had a massive move down and we took it all the way down to this zone again. So there's no reason, if we really do struggle to break this zone, there's no reason that we can't take it all the way down to this level again. However, nothing's perfect. The probability would tell us we're going lower, but we could even just break up. We could break up, and then this zone here that we have, we would be looking to use that as support and then take it up the way. So potentially this might be a trade that we take up higher. But again, right now it's looking that we're going to go for sell trades, and we're going to be taking it down to the base of this trend line, this bullish trend line that we see all on the weekly. So again, another thing to be looking out for, Euro GBP. Again, that's an interesting one for me. Let's just break down exactly what we're seeing on this. As you can see, this is like a symmetrical triangle, and for those of you who don't know, like symmetrical triangles could really break out anyway. It's really just a case of being patient, reading price action, monitoring the higher time frames and doing top-down analysis, which is starting out on the higher time frames like the weekly, the daily, then breaking it down to like the 4 hour and then the 1 hour, etc. So again, starting on the weekly, we can see we have got quite a big zone here. This is one of the zones that we've marked out. There's a really high interest to us. You can see how well it's been respected over time. So let's just pop down to the 4 hour and see exactly what we're looking at. Of course, look how well it's been respected. It's been respected here, it's used as resistance, resistance again, pop back up, used as support, used as support, used as support, used as support. Again, broke down, it's not really respected it here, but then look what's happened just recently, last week, starting to really respect this now. So what would we be looking for before we got in a buy trade? We'd probably just take a buy trade up to this level and then potentially as a second take profit would take it to the top of this high here, which is the top of the symmetrical triangle. So basically what we'd be looking for is some sort of reversal pattern or bearish candlestick formation, maybe a hammer all the way down below this level and then a close just above it, or sort of like a sloping movement with another bearish candlestick, and maybe like an engulfing that would break this high. A engulfing candlestick's basically just one that engulfs the one previously, or the last couple of ones. So we'd look for maybe like a break above here, and then we would have our stop loss maybe just underneath this level. Depending on the open or the close, like I say, the gaps have been quite big when the markets open up again, so really we don't really know just how much of a gap it's going to be. It could break this level and then come back up again. We'll have to reassess and do some more analysis. It's been quite crazy, and we'll be looking to take this up here as our first take profit, and then the second take profit of course would just be this one here, and then it would look something like that. But again, nobody knows. We're just going to play it by ear, see what the markets are like tonight at 10, see what the gap's like, and then we'll go and assess analysis. But that's something that we would be looking for. But again, we wouldn't be taking anything more than the top of this weekly trend line. Again, if we have a breakout of any of these zones, then we will be looking to take price considerably higher, because we've been in this technically since 16th of March, so like 9-10 months ago we've been in this sort of symmetrical triangle. So when you break patterns like this that have been held for so long, you typically do get big moves. So again, that's just another thing to be watching. What are we looking at for, let's see, GBP Aussie, again all the way down to the weekly. You can see this bearish trend line being respected very well, and we've moved quite hard into this zone. Now again, this is another high impact zone that we found, just been respected very well. As you can see here, it's been respected just here, it's been respected here very well, it's been respected here, and then now coming back into it, it seems like we're having a double bottom. Potentially we could break this quite a narrow trend line, and then God, targets on this one could potentially be all the way back up to the top of where it started, round about this area here. So potentially targets could be all the way up here. But again, there is a couple of zones to be aware of. One thing that's sticking out to me right now is this zone here. It's been respected, so I would be looking at this. This would be something to map out. And then what else would I be looking at? Maybe there's another little zone here to be looking at. So the reason we're looking at these zones is here. Look, 5-6 weeks been respected very well. Another week, another week, another week, another 2 weeks, and it's just a ridiculously well respected level. So if we did break this zone here, the first place we'd be taking it to would be this. This would be our first take profit. So our trade would maybe look something like this. Would maybe have like a break and retest of this zone. So once we've broken out of this zone, maybe have like, it would have to have some form of bullish structure. So we'd have to break out something like this, like have some sort of stalling candle, some sort of sloping, maybe like a bullish hammer candle, and then we would take the trade up here with stop loss just behind that low. But again, we're not really going to be entering any of these trades or trying to get in early or anything like that. We're just going to wait until the market breaks out, gives us good signal that we are going to be respecting the breakout and it's not just a fake one, and then we are going to take a bullish run up again. So that's what we're looking at on GBP Aussie. Again, we could easily just break this level and respect this trend line again, but now that we've got all our points mapped up, all we have to do moving into the week is just come to our charts quickly. We've toggled these on, say these are the pairs that we're looking at, and there's literally zero hassle, zero stress. You just come in and then you literally act how the market is playing out, and it's just really that simple. GBP USD, again, another huge level here. Let's go back down to the weekly, break that down. Again, let's just show you the zones that we're looking at here. Look, look at this, the last time the market touched this area here and moved so heavily up. Now we're thinking, is that actually a good level to trade from, or is it just bullshit? Well, let's figure out if it's a good level. This is how we would figure out. We would draw our box and we would just have it here, zoom in a little bit, and then all we do is we just slide it across. That's all we're looking for, slide it across. And then what are we looking for? How do we know it's a good level? We just want to make sure that everything is touching. We want the wicks and the candle bodies to be respecting very well. If the wick comes through the support resistance area but then closes back below, and then it's been respected very well as resistance, and vice versa. If it closes through, pokes through and then closes above it, it's been respected very well as support. So, and again, because we're on the weekly, we know that these zones are high impact zones. Now, they're not always easy to find. Sometimes you need to train your eye a little bit, but if you're constantly looking at the charts again, see, once you could zoom in, look how well it's been respected. 1 week we've actually went in and pushed away heavily, came, touched this perfectly, pushed away, had a shooting star candle on this one, pushed away perfectly. Great trade. Again, respected very well here, respected the inside. Again, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, 7 weeks. So we know this is a high impact zone. Another 2 weeks, another 2 weeks, again another 2 weeks. We've used it as support this time. We've actually broken through, and then we are potentially going to have a push up higher. So we might actually look for a buy setup. Now this goes in line with our GBP Aussie trade, maybe for the pound, because it's done so poor these past couple of years. Maybe we might actually start seeing some nice bullish runs up this year. So this could be something that we're looking for. The fact that we've pushed through this really high impact zone, and then if we go down to the 4 hour, we could see that it's been respected and that we are potentially going to have a nice run up. So I'd probably wait for a break of this just to be safe, maybe like a break, and then I could see here, look at this, is another little zone that we might want to be paying attention to just across here. As you can see, we want to really just be trying to catch. Hopefully you could start to, once you practice looking at the charts a lot, you'll be able to start finding these zones really easily. See, the wicks are respected the outside of it, perfect, but it's also closed just below, so we know we want to have that exact parameter right there. Again, another 3-4 hour candles, respected very well. So we'd really just want to be breaking this trend line. We'd probably look for something like this before potentially getting in this trade. Push up, push down, and then we would have stop loss inside this pattern again, behind this support zone, and then we would look back on the weekly to take profits. The next zone that we were probably anticipating it would reach is all the way up here. That's a 9.3 risk to reward ratio, but if you had got in past this break, you could potentially squeeze a little bit more out of that. So that's like a really big trade, and that's 782 pips. Again, it'll take a while to get up there, but who's to say that you can't get 2 or 3 trades out of this one? We might get something up like this and then have like a sort of like a stall. So let's see, we might actually have something along the lines of and then a break up. So once you've actually broken, say maybe this pattern here, you could maybe even get another trade pushing up, putting your stop loss back inside this pattern, maybe behind this mini support zone, and then take another trade up. So potentially you could be banking a lot of percent on this one move. But again, you just have to be patient, because these things take time to develop, especially if we're talking about big moves like this, but there's no reason why, if you have this position here, you get your stop loss to entry, so you've got zero risk on the table, why you can't take 2 or 3 positions on this. Of course, you don't want to be taking 2 or 3 positions really close to each other. You do want to be looking out for other things. We have made lessons on this that we will be finished shortly, so you can understand how to really get a lot of money out of these types of trades. So that's what we're looking at in GBP US dollar. We're going to go through perhaps one more. USD CAD. This is going to be quite a large move. US dollar CAD. Again, this is going to be a really big move if we do break out. But this is basically just a descending pennant. It's typically just a reversal pattern, because you can see here what's really happening is it's just getting narrower and narrower and narrower, and this started all the way back just about when coronavirus and when everybody was getting sent home. The dollar just started to tank, and for all of last year it's just really just been in a big massive downtrend. Maybe this year with the new vaccine rollouts and stuff, that we might actually see some bullish movement again. So if we do see some bullish movement, we anticipate that it will happen once we break this pattern, because this is a reversal pattern, and then we'll have just got some nice levels that we want to be looking out for. The first level we'll be looking out for is this level here. As you can see, it's been respected incredibly well. It matches up perfectly. Last time we touched this one in a bullish fashion, in this 20th of January, we had a huge pull up. That was just 3 months. 3 months that took. That is just a ridiculous amount. So we really want to be paying attention. Of course, some of that would have been coronavirus, if not all of it. So we're not going to pretend like it's going to take off like this every time it happens, every time it touches this zone. But we do definitely want to be paying attention to it. We want to be paying attention to this zone, and again, this zone here lines up perfectly with how well it's been respected here, 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 and then again here, here, here. So then what would we be looking for? We have plans to take a really small position, maybe like 0.25%, just have our stop loss maybe all the way down outside of here. And then just take this trade all the way up to the top, again back to where it started, round about these highs here. So again, you're talking about a 1600 pip move that will take quite a while, but again, for this move to happen, that only took 3 months, so nothing's impossible. Things can happen quick, so we'll just be looking out for this level. We're looking out for this level. Really, things will start to pick up, I'd imagine, once we break out of this zone here. So we'll just be going down to the daily, we'll be going down to the 4 hour, and we will just be looking for any sort of breaks of this trend line here. We'll look for a break of this zone as well, this resistance zone. It lines up perfectly with this trend line, so perhaps maybe we get a break and retest, something like this, and then we would take possible long setup, maybe something like on the break of these highs. Okay, something along the lines of this. Stop loss nicely inside the pattern again, and then take it up to this level. That will be our first take profit. Nice 3.3 risk to reward. And then again, because this is such a big move, we'd be looking to take second positions and third positions and fourth positions as the price started to push back up. Maybe once we get this one stop loss to entry and this one stop loss to entry, we might take a third and a fourth one up here, depending on how far it wants to go. Again, it's going to take a long time for it to really develop, but having these plotted out on your charts right now and understanding what they mean and what the key levels you should be looking out for, the high impact zones, and how to use the high impact zones with the right correctly drawn out trend lines, if you know how to position them perfectly, so your charts are nice and neat, once you do your analysis, it's there to stay. And then once they do approach these zones, all you have to do is just with a little bit of knowledge, know when to get in, know when to get out, know when to put your stop loss in specific places, so it's not taking you out the market too early. You're going to make a lot of money. And with doing things like putting your stop loss to entry once trades move in your way, there's no reason why you can't back a lot of percentage gains on your trading portfolio. So this is currently what we're looking at in the markets. We do feel like there's going to be a small pullback phase because the dollar pairs have just been going up and up and up for all of the NZD USD, Aussie US dollar pairs, have all been going up because the dollar's been really weak. So if the dollar's weak, it pushes these pairs up, this pair and this pair. And if the dollar's weak, it pushes this pair down because the dollar's the first currency in this pair. So if the dollar's weak, it pushes these down. And then if it's the second one in the pair and the dollar's weak, it pushes them up. So this is just what we're looking for. If there's, just before I finish, is there any other ones? There's a couple other ones on 𝗙𝗍𝗍𝗀𝗀 and stuff. I'm not really going to go too much into that because they're not really, well, maybe we'll cover 𝗙𝗍𝗍𝗀𝗀 quickly. Again, it's sort of similar to Euro GBP, sort of like a symmetrical triangle here. And of course we'll have another high impact zone, so potentially we're not really going to be taking any positions because we really just want to understand where this is actually going, because it could go in a multiple, there's a multiple different setups that could potentially happen right now. So really we're just going to be waiting for a break of this trend line here, potentially use this outside trend line that was resistance. Once it's broken, it will be support. It will match up with this support zone, might even match up with this outside trend line here. So we've got a triple confluence right here. That'd be a really good trade to take, and then a push up. I would anticipate that it would break higher, to be honest, but again, not really going to put too much speculation on where it's going to go. Just depends what the market wants to do. But because we went down, we went to the weekly time frame, we've marked out what I think is the most important level for us to be looking at right now. Like if I was to drag this across, I've already done it, you could find there's so many other zones right now that, like this zone here, this is like multiple months. We're talking like 3-4 months here that has been respected well. Like it's just a ridiculously high impact level, and right now, of course. So that is what we're going to be looking at. Again, we're just going to be patient with this. It's on our watch list. We're in Euro NZD, so I'm going to take that off. Yeah, we're just going to wait on a break. So hopefully that's been helpful. Just a good insight to what we're looking for, how we plan our charts. What we have got, of course, lessons coming of how to really do each one of these things that we've been talking about, like plan high impact zones, draw trend lines correctly, candlestick reversal patterns in a bearish or bullish fashion, everything that you could possibly think of. We're almost finished the course, so that will be live February the 1st. So if there's anything that's not making sense right now, just give one of us a message, and of course you will have the option to buy that on February the 1st, and it will make a big difference on your trading. So we might do it one of these every single week. We'll see how it goes. Maybe post recording on YouTube as well, so you could go back and watch this. And if there's anything that didn't make any sense, just drop us a message and we'll get back to you as soon as we can.